it only happened later that I realized that, oh yeah, it's not me, it's the air. Music and movies, even paintings, they have such a beautiful way to enter your system. You pick up any song and it can become a climate song. I couldn't see India Gate from the roundabout. It was so thick, the smog. Bunch of people together is a very, very strong thing. Even if it's 10 people, the Titanic is sinking, and I can't be now doing something else. We know we're all sinking. How do you bring people together? You bring people together with love.
Welcome everyone who've signed up on a Thursday evening for this webinar. It's basically the first webinar from Culture Shift India webinar series, and I'm really excited to have you all here. So this series is actually a presentation of the Climate Culture Collective, which is a network of artists, creators, filmmakers, musicians like Ankur, stand-up comedians, theater artists from different backgrounds, craft forms, and languages. And the reason why we started the Climate Culture Collective is because we've always believed that climate conversations shouldn't just live in reports or news articles or newsrooms, policies, conference rooms. I think they need to live where people already are, in our stories, in our movies, in our songs, in the everyday culture. And because that's where the real connection happens, culture has this incredible power to make something as big and overwhelming as climate crisis feel personal, emotional, urgent, and sometimes even entertaining. Like if we use movies and comedy to talk about climate crisis, because let's be honest, it can be very depressing if you are in the business of fighting climate crisis, and we all need to unwind and have a laugh once in a while. And who better to help us unpack this, other than someone who shaped the soundtracks of so many of our lives, Ankur Tewari, musicians, poet, composer, storyteller, and a creative force behind projects like Gully Boy, Kho Gaye Hum Kahan, Archies, Coke Studio Bharat, and the air quality anthem Dhua Dhua. Ankur, we are really thrilled to have you with us to kick this off. Welcome to Culture Shift. I know you are extremely busy, but really appreciate you taking time off to join and share your insights. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm really excited to meet so many people here who are doing the actual work in life. I pretend to be more busy than I am, but it's always good to talk to you also, mainly because I get to know and update myself about what's happening, and being here in front of so many people who are doing such amazing work. So it's an honor and privilege to be here.
Thanks, Ankur. I mean, a lot of people here know you through your music, but I thought it'll be good to spend just 2 to 3 minutes for folks to know who you are and about your early days. So, how did music come into your life? Like, if you can share a little bit about your growing up years, and how did Ankur Tiwari, a child who was, I don't know, in second, third, fourth grade, suddenly, where did music appear, music, songs, poetry appear into your life and made you who you are today?
So I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I was born in Belgium, and then my father was doing his PhD there, and then I grew up in a campus in a small town called Roorkee in north of India. And life was pretty much like an Enid Blyton book, where everything was beautiful and blue skies and campus life, manicured places where you felt comfortable and safe. We would rarely lock our homes. We would be out most of the time. And music was a part of my life because my parents loved music. So we were listening to a lot of music at our place, in cassettes and vinyl. And because it was a campus town university, a lot of students were coming in bringing in their mixtapes, so I was always listening to music. My mother used to direct some plays, so there were always artists at home, actors, poets. We would have mehfils at home, which are gatherings of people where people would sing and exchange couplet sometimes, and exchange poetry and music. So I grew up in a very fortunate musical environment. and I started writing songs very early in school. I was really, really young. I think at that time mainly to impress girls, but then slowly I realized that I could tell my stories through it, and it just became like a constant companion with me, and it's been with me ever since. And then because I come from a small town, I was naive enough to think that I should make a career in music, which was unprecedented from the place I came. And one thing led to another, and this I just kept on doing the same thing that I was doing in school. A lot of times I meet my friends and they ask me how's life and what's happening, and pretty much it feels life is the same since it was in school. It was full of curiosity and full of music.
Do you remember the first song that you wrote?
I remember some horrid rhymes that I would try. It was the first song that I wrote. I didn't know how to write uh, melodies, so I would kind of, and a lot of our music was in English, and I didn't understand the lyrics that well, so I would pretend write the lyrics on my own, and I would come back to the hook line. So the first song probably I wrote was "Part Time Lover." Rewrote the verses with something like "Kadakti dhoop chale hum sab gaएं the part time lover," and so it was just like I felt that if you can rhyme, you're writing a song.
I think that song is relevant considering Kadakti Dhoop it applies to heat stress that we are all facing. Maybe you
Yeah.
should get it recorded. On that note, uh, so first thing I wanted to ask you about was, do you remember what was your first vivid moment that made the climate crisis feel real to you? And I mean, it doesn't have to be from when you became a musician, but like the first time that it felt that, oh, like shit, this is for real, and it has stayed.
I think a realization happened when we were in Roorkee. We used to go to Delhi quite often by road, and going to Delhi meant that we would take a roadways bus. And between my sister and I, it was always like, who would get the window seat, because you would get such cool breeze on your face when you would go to Delhi. And at that time, there were lots of like fields that would come in the middle. So it would be like cool and nice, and the breeze would be really nice on your face. And as soon as you started approaching cities, it would get warmer a bit, and then it would get cooler again as you would drift away from the city into the fields. And it would be such a thing that who gets the window seat, because the window was down and you would feel the breeze. And I think I took that bus journey a few years later, like when I was in college, and I didn't feel the breeze. It was just constant hot wind. Usually, you would wake up near Ghaziabad, which is a city right outside Delhi, but it felt like Ghaziabad right since the time we'd left Roorkee, and it would feel that you would feel this hot, polluted, fumes on your face all the time, and it was just very disappointing. And I was wondering, it didn't strike me as something that was linked to environment, but it just felt like I was actually started in a classic manner questioning myself, asking why would I ask for a window seat, and I didn't. It only happened later that I realized that, oh yeah, it's not me, it's the air.
And no, very vivid. In fact, and since then, has nature uh, like shaped your music and poetry, the songs that you write or the music that you compose, and in what way, if you can share some insights on that?
I mean, nature is always like, you like, I am a self-trained songwriter and musician. So it was always what you write about is like, and nature has always been magical. So like in songs, you kind of investigate magic, and you kind of can create a differentiation between tricks and magic. And magic happens when you kind of use nature as a metaphor, which has been like as I said, like you brought it up, like kadakti dhoop chale hum sab, like it's like, why was I thinking of dhoop at that time? It was just like you felt that these are the things you are familiar with and you encounter, on a daily basis, and when you talk about it, it always feels magical. So you always, as a poet, use metaphors of stars, moon, wind, change of seasons, the force of water. It's just like how it can be gentle and how it can be a force, how it can, you can see a reflection in it. So it's, you kind of like keep on bringing it up, maybe not consciously, but more so subconsciously.
And Ankur, I mean, I've been thinking of late, especially because art or any form of craft draws inspiration from what's happening around you, whether it's social, environmental, climate. So, as an artist, do you believe now more so than ever, do artists have a responsibility to address the climate crisis? And I mean, we can make it broader about there's a lot of things happening, but I'll stick to climate. Or do you think they should stay value neutral? And where is your personal line?
I mean, my personal line is, you talk about what's happening around you. As an artist, you document your life, and it it is not honest if you document a life without talking about the change happening around you. I feel your responsibility is not to talk about climate per se, but you need to document your moment in utter honesty, and climate is a big part of it. So for me, I don't see myself as a crusader who's going to go out and only talk about climate. I'm not an activist, but at the same time, I'll be dishonest if I don't talk about climate in my songs, in my stories, because it is such a harsh reality that we face. So you end up talking about it in different ways. Yes, I have written one or two songs that have direct reference to climate change, but I have also written songs that could be about something else, and they apply to environment as well, because it is something that we are grappling with. So to answer your question in short, is it's not my moral responsibility to talk about climate change, but at the same time, I'll be dishonest if I don't. So my responsibility is to document my times in the most honest fashion as I can.
And as a, I mean, not just a creator, but even as a consumer of music, can you recall or give us an example of a song that you believe has either moved the needle or put the spotlight on a very crucial issue? I mean, it has to be. It doesn't have to be climate. It can be something other than that as well. What I wanted to bring out was the role that music can play in mainstreaming or putting the spotlight on issues which are otherwise not spoken about. So any example that you can think of?
I mean, there are a bunch of songs that, kind of, uh, when you hear "Where Do the Children Play," or "Where Have All the Flowers Gone," and so you would, there are songs that you end up singing. And what I really like about music uh, is that it's got a kind of a sneaky nature. So I feel music and movies, even paintings, they have such a beautiful way to enter your system. It kind of is intrusive and non-intrusive at the same time. You don't suspect that you're not being super aggressive in addressing your point. You are like humor, for instance, like, so beautiful, like even better than music, because when you laugh, you're really in the moment. You're not thinking about the past or the future, and if you end up laughing, you end up laughing. You can't stop, and you yourself know the point has been made. It kind of shows a very interesting mirror to you. So I feel there have a bunch of songs that have affected me in different ways. I feel as a consumer, you always kind of trying to identify with art that reflects your own story, so you kind of feel less lonely, and you don't feel you're the only one thinking about it. So I feel music is very important because of the nature of because of its nature, because it enters in a very non-aggressive fashion. It enters your system in a very, very non-aggressive fashion, and it it opens a room for investigation if somebody is really listening to it. and not just humming it.
There's a line that you said which I find very powerful, and it gives me a segue into the next question. You said music can be very sneaky. So for us climate communicators, we often end up thinking about, okay, so what is the call to action at the end of it? But when you go beyond the usual template, all of that doesn't apply. So how, whether it's music or films or comedy, like when we are using other popular art forms, how do you think we can create art which delivers the message without sounding preachy? And I think it comes naturally to you guys because you don't have a call to action at the end of a song, and it's powerful, and it stays with people. So what is it like? How does one do that?
In my songwriting, I concentrate on the feeling a lot. Mainly, like if it's jealousy, if it's greed, if it's love, it's pain, whatever. So I concentrate on that emotion, and I have noticed if you stay honest to the emotion, emotions travel better than better than words. Like emotion that makes a song live for longer. There's some songs you write, they die before other songs. Other songs stay, like some of the songs that I have written, they have stayed in my set list for 20, 25 years. They don't leave the set list because you just know that people want to hear it again and again and again. And I feel uh, preachy would be coming from a place where I know better. I don't know about a subject better than you. So I would never preach about the subject, but I can feel my feeling more honestly than you, probably. And if I really put my feeling out there in, it's a convoluted thought in my head right now. Let me simplify it. Uh, as an artist, I feel like there are people. What differentiates me with a lot of people in this world, I would put a high percentage to it, would be that a lot of people are stuck in the system. The system would mean that you have a job, you get a salary, your life is dependent on it, and your EMIs are there, your things are there. So a lot of decisions are in the, you cannot find yourself outside the system. Artists find themselves in a very unique position where they're kind of out of the system, on the fringe. So what I can do is I can put my vulnerability in words, and I can be vulnerable, and I can share it with you openly. And once I do that, other people who are stuck in the system, who don't quite have the privilege or the comfort or environment where they can express themselves like that, they would, oh yeah, I feel like that. Oh, that's me. Oh, that's my story. When that happens, people really get it. Now, in terms of call to action, I feel it is important in the work that you guys do, because uh, I can sing songs in a circle of people who agree with me, and that's great. But even as an artist, you want to expand and convert people into your belief system. So um, my call to action is more poetic. I have written a song called Yakeen, in that there's a line that goes, मुझे यकीन है मेरे यकीन से तेरे यकीन पे होगा असर, मुझे यकीन है मेरे यकीन से तेरा यकीन होगा बेअसर. So it is, but when I realize that if I play with the word yakin a bunch, I think somebody might have to translate that. Sorry, that it would be my, I believe that my belief will bring about a change in your belief. I believe that my belief will render your belief system as irrelevant, something like that. I don't know, something. So for me, it is important for me to challenge myself, challenge my poetry, and write in a way where I can convert people and make more people believe in love. Like, I find myself as a crusader of love in my music. I even protest through love songs. So I feel that for me uh, it is important that I keep on challenging my poetry and put it out there in a way where there is a call to action in the poetry as well. But it's not like I'm forcing you to convert. I just want to force you to think and think honestly. And I want to create an environment of dialogue. And then it's up to you now whether you want to change or not, whether you want to believe or not.
That was beautiful. Getting a lot of love in the chat section as well. There are one is of course the
I'm not
line.
reading the chat because I can't multitask. So if I read the
No,
chat,
it's
then I won't be
okay.
able to
I'll
concentrate.
read that out. I'll read that out or share separately on WhatsApp with you. But lots of hearts, basically hearts and beautiful. And I believe that line, opening verse, can be a motto which can inspire a lot of us folks who work in the. I mean, not just climate for that matter. Any issue that you're working, which is fighting the big fight. It's the David versus Goliath. That line can be very inspiring and powerful. There's
So
another
it's
line.
interesting. It's interesting in that is that when I used to sing it I've included in my new album, which I'm dropping in probably February or March. But when used to sing it in my concerts, I used to sing it very like an anthem. It had an upbeat reggae kind of a vibe, and it was like. But when I started recording it, I didn't feel I wanted to like make it more relaxed because I felt that it was too aggressive in the recording because there's no audience there. So it felt very so. So it's so crazy that I see that how when I started recording it, suddenly became a chill song where you sit back and listen to it in a anyway, it just came to me. That realization had not happened to me till now.
I guess the energy in the audiences was something which, like you play off as well. So you did mention something about artists in the system. I have some questions about that, but before that, let's make it a little lighter. There's one question which I had was, if you had to place a climate message in one of your songs, what would that look and feel like? And it doesn't have to be changing the lyrics. Like a lot of songs have been filmed, and whether it's Kho Gaye Hum Kahan or Gully Boy. So if you would want to change the frame or the setting or whatever, any thoughts on that? Because climate messaging can be subliminal as well. It does not have to be like in your face. Uh, Anything that comes to your mind, that the work that you've done, if we tweak this a little bit, that there's a climate message there.
You pick up any song and it can become a climate song. It's basically art is about context. Is if I say I wrote these were apna time aayega. Now it is a climate song as well, and it's a song about struggle as well. It's a song about class as well. It's a song about everyone. So it is whatever you write applies because I'm not writing about one subject. I'm writing about a feeling, and that's why I feel like feelings make your work go broader than an accurate thing. हमें राही प्यार के हमसे कुछ ना बोलिए जो भी प्यार से मिला हम उसी के होलिए. Like it will draw climate context. You pick up any song and it can become a climate song. Is who is singing it, where are you singing it, what is the emotion you're singing it with, is it that's the beauty of poetry. It can draw it you will hear what you want to hear.
Thanks, Ankur. Moving on, I just have some questions on the industry. So, you did mention about artists being a lot of them being stuck in the system, and I mean, I don't blame them as well. But amongst your peers, is there, like, when you meet fellow musicians or filmmakers or artists, is there a discussion amongst your peers in about what's happening? So, about climate or about environment, and what is that like? Do they talk about manifesting that through their art, or like to what degree that conversation exists, if it does exist?
Yes, there's a very robust conversation amongst everyone. Everyone feels affected by it. We have all been part of protests where we have gone and spoken about just clean air and water. I think like that's the basic we should start with. There is so much, people talk about so much progress, but nobody talks about at the cost of what. And I feel it's the job of the artist to put their art in front of people in a way where people start seeing context. When you put put things in context, when you force people to see the same thing from a different perspective. Usually, when you're in the system, you're told this is it, and then you do that. Like if you go, comedians, I'm not sure if there are any comedians in the audience. I see them do it all the time on stage when they say, "I went there, right?" And then everyone agrees with you, but you were not there, so you don't know. Like it's a very aggressive, I maybe. A capitalist way of seeing things, where you force a thought and you find yourself agreeing to the thought. What artists end up doing is just giving you an idea, or you have the power to see things from a perspective as well. Like, don't see it exactly how you're seeing it, but also be open to seeing it from a perspective. And everybody sees the moon, but why does poet use the moon in a different way? Because just drawing a different perspective, that's all we're doing. Is when I write a song, there are 3 or 4 voices in my head. It's almost like a courtroom drama happening in my head, where there are different voices talking about how can you see the same thing from 3 or 4 different perspectives. So there's a kite in the sky that's cut and it's like kind of floating down. How many ways can you see that image? And that's the conversation in the head, and that would form verse 1, verse 2, and then there would be the sun's point of view could become the bridge. I don't know, like I'm saying, it's like you keep on talking. The only thing an artist does is try and see things with a perspective.
And just following on with that question, have you been, or your peers, like you may have heard, been asked, because you do write a lot of social songs, protest songs, and there are a few others as well. Have you been asked to tone down uh, your your language or messaging, or what you've written, or that hasn't happened?
No, that's not happened with me. In fact, I've had the fortune of working with some amazing people. We wrote a song called Jingostan, so it's like we've not been asked to tone down anything, because also we have not approached it. I feel any of the works uh, with an aggressive point of view of telling somebody else to shut up. We're just stating a point of view which you cannot deny because it is true, and we're going to put it in a non-aggressive fashion, where we put it out there and okay, what do you have to say about this? You can troll me, and I've written a song for trolls, like I've written a love song for my trolls as well. So it's like, you write about, okay, you're going to troll me, I'm going to write a love song for you. I Come on, fight me in my arena of love, I'm not going to enter your arena of hate.
There's just one question I had, Ankur, about algorithms and attention. So, see, it's we are living in a time and space of extremely limited attention span, and the kind of content that people are sharing through platforms like YouTube or Instagram, it's AI and algorithms that's basically driving. So, I mean, how do we, is there a way that we can shape what gets heard? And can climate content, I don't know how to say it, like be algorithm friendly or beat the algorithm so that it shows up on people's feed? Because this is something which I know nothing about. So,
Even I don't know
sorry.
much about it. I struggle with my music also. I see, the thing is that I feel all of these are phases. For me, I'm not trying to beat any algorithm. I'm not trying to do. I definitely want a lot of people to listen to my music, but at the same time, I'm not going to enter the system and try and all these algorithms and things are made by machines and industries. That's what makes me an artist. I'm outside your arena. If I start working and trying to please you, then I'm gone. Like then there is no point of me. Then I become the system itself. So for me, yes, it's essential to beat the algorithm, but I think nothing beats algorithm better than honesty. And if your work is honest, it will. One of my favorite quotations is about statistics, because all algorithms are based on statistics, is that you can confess a statistic to confess anything. So I feel is the algorithm would say that it's impossible to make so many runs. Sorry for a cricket reference, but like, so many runs in so many overs. But then suddenly you will get a Tendulkar or Virat Kohli will make an unprecedented innings where oh, now there's a new statistic. So now the algorithms, everything changes. So you have to be ahead of the curve. So I would say one thing that in the world of internet that works beautifully is honesty. Um, and people like when you're honest, you're irresistible. Like, it will break all rules and suddenly there'll be new trend. But you have to be honest. If you what was that song recently, the Rota Pahad, it happened and it was a beautiful song. It didn't follow any algorithm, but it caught the imagination of people because it was brutally honest. So I feel we ourselves, when we're talking about, and I feel a bunch of you who are so driven about messaging. Uh, Sometimes we are so desperate for a word to go out, and rightly so desperate for the right reasons, that we become dishonest. We think that if we do like this trend step, maybe people will listen to us more. But I feel it's not about outwards, it's about inwards. It's about making your content so irresistible. Firstly, I hate the word content because it suddenly makes you feel like you're working in a factory, but making your work so irresistible that they can't ignore you.
That's beautiful. In the next section, I wanted to talk about audience impact and
Are we going in
collaboration.
sections?
No, no. I
I
mean,
like that you've classified it so nicely.
I did have, but some of the answers that you are giving, it actually gives me a very nice segue into, because I
Please,
did
please,
have
please
two
use
or
it.
three questions. But before that, there's one question that has come, and I think that will be a nice bridge, which is, you have written a couple of songs on climate. Like, one is, of course, Dhua Dhua. So what was the process that you followed? Like, what went behind? I remember our conversation when we first started talking about Dhua Dhua in 2019, and then I think in a couple of weeks you were back with a song.
Yeah.
What happened in those 2 weeks? And if you can just share.
Okay, so if I go back to Dhua Dhua, the process was, again, I had to find a deep emotion and a feeling that I needed to bring into that. And I felt that instead of using your words, giving a call to action and tell people what to do, let me tackle it through nostalgia. And I feel it's a very powerful tool, especially in these days, because we live in such kind of crazy times that nothing makes sense, and leaning on to memory of simpler times is a very interesting emotion. So I think with Dhua Dhua, I was trying to cling on to some nostalgia. As I said, like, I grew up in Roorkee, which was almost like living in an Enid Blyton book. And Dhua Dhua struck me when I was in Delhi once, in India Gate, and I couldn't see India Gate from the roundabout. It was so thick, the smog. It was so thick that I couldn't see. I could see a faint image of some like big ominous structure behind the smog, and it was, for the first time, it felt intimidating. And that's where I felt, okay, I want to reminisce the days when the skies were blue, and you could see so many stars in the sky that you could even spot a few shooting stars. um, and I feel that is the approach that I took. And then I started reminiscing, and I felt, let me put, even melodically, I went into like a mood which is nostalgic, and not like as if I'm writing a protest song or an anthem. And I think things fell into place automatically from there.
Ankur, a while, I think in the previous question, when we were talking about algorithms, you mentioned about metrics, and unfortunately, a lot of us, including some artists as well, are chasing metrics, like shares, virality, streams, etc. And you did mention that you don't. I mean, you try to create honest music and not really chase that, but for us as well, if we are trying to engage with artists and create new pieces of art which talk about climate, like how do you even measure cultural impact realistically? Like what kind of, if we leave vanity metrics aside, how many people have streamed the song or liked it, what kind of signals do you think matter to say that this is making an impact?
I'm wondering if I'm qualified to answer that, but
Take a shot.
what would it be? I feel the idea is to create a, a a feeling of togetherness and a collective. And I feel like one of the reasons why I said to even coming here, I hate talking and sitting in front of a computer, but I felt I wanted to be here because I could kind of interact and meet with a bunch of people who are together. It felt that like I'd rather be, a member of this club than Gymkhana. So it's a good club to be in. Like, and when I feel that so many people are concerned and are doing something together, then I feel less lonely, and I feel it's nice. So whatever can create a feeling of a collective is a good feeling. We do this event here in Bombay. Now we do it in many cities. Actually, we're going to Indore as well, called Spoken Fest, where we come and it started off as let's listen to some stories and let's listen to some poetry. A bunch of 30 people got together and we started narrating stories and poetry, and today it's a festival where around 20,000 people come. And for me, the success is that we could feel a collective coming together. It's not about losing yourself in a show, is probably finding yourself in a show. Like you go there and you when you leave the thing, you've heard Gulzar Saab say some words of poetry and you feel, oh, I feel enriched, and I feel more excited. I read more poetry, I'll watch more films, I'll listen to more music. I feel excited. It's not like sometimes I'd like to go to festivals and places where I want to lose myself. I have a few drinks and I'd listen to music and sometimes forget the memory of what happened there. So I feel I like places where you can get together and you feel enriched and you feel bunch of people together is a very, very strong thing. Even if it's 10 people, 30 people, 30,000 people, 3 lakh people, bunch of people together is collective. That's what human nature, that's how probably we beat the Neanderthals. So it's in our genes to be together. And how do you bring people together? You bring people together with love.
That is extremely powerful. There is someone in the chat window who's recalling that you were at Carter Road with a bunch of students on Environment Day, and the whole sense of collectiveness and collaborative. I mean, I've been working for the last few years to build collectives on different forms, and I can't agree more that bringing a bunch of people together with a shared value, with a common goal. Nothing makes you wake up early morning to be ready for work than that. Um, so, last few set of questions, and then maybe if we have time, we'll take a couple from
We
the
have time. I
audience as
have I
well.
have reserved time for you guys, so as
Oh,
much
okay,
as time
super.
you need. Yeah.
Super. So if one industry level change you think uh, you would suggest that could mainstream climate in popular culture, like what would it be? And you can go beyond music as well. Let's say if the entire music industry had to think of including climate messaging uh, in a subliminal way, how what kind of change at you know you would suggest, kind of things that they need to do, conversations they need to do.
I mean, I feel it's unfortunate that we live in a country where art is seen as extracurricular. We live in times when even our movies, people see whether it's a good film or bad film according to the money it's made. Art is not encouraged. The government doesn't give any grants. Uh, it doesn't support any artists. So many people stopped making art during the time of COVID. Only the privileged few could continue because it was so difficult. There was no help for anyone. Like, there were like one of the big things was through IPRS, they sent money and royalties into all the members, irrespective, and lesser streams you had, more money you got into your account, so it was, so yes, I think support from the system in a way is important, because right now it feels that you are like, I don't see any reason for me to make music apart from my madness. Like, there is no reason for me to. I could live a much more comfortable life if I was not making music. Probably I'd be more miserable. I would not be happy, but I would probably be more comfortable. But I feel systemic change needs to be there, where you identify a community. It's important to do something which doesn't make commercial sense, if that makes any sense, and that needs to be identified. And I feel uh, like, if you meet a lawyer in a party, you don't ask the lawyer what the lawyer's salary is or how much do they make in a month. But if you meet a filmmaker, you ask them, okay, what was the opening for your film? It's kind of vulgar, and I feel we're living in vulgar times, when art is there's a commodification of it. Is that the right way to say it? I don't know, but it is, we need to respect and support art forms, even if it's not making money, if that makes any sense. And I don't know solutions how to do it. Probably it's an interesting discussion that you've sparked off, but probably I can think more about it and give you a better qualified answer. But this is what's coming to my mind right now.
Sure. I'll just probe that a little bit further, and if you don't have an answer, we can move to the next one. Is with that thought, with what you just said, like, is there a message you would have for the gatekeepers? And we'll stick to the music industry, right? To the gatekeepers, and by gatekeepers, I would say, I don't know, like a label head or a supervisor or a big music producer would be a gatekeeper, right? What what kind of message we would you have for them to start being open to this kind of messaging, or musicians or creators being starting to introduce this, like, driven by heart and love, not numbers and money.
I think, for me, see that, like, all the gatekeepers, including me, now I am in that position. We are an older generation. The world doesn't belong to us. The world belongs to the young. I kind of feel I'm on rent on living in their world, and I feel if we have to make this kind of a change, it's not an aesthetic change. It's something that has to come from within. So I think we should make sure we identify where are the kids of these gatekeepers, and try and give the message to them, because the gatekeepers are doing what they're doing, but they're not going to change like this. The kids are the one who know what it means, what this messaging is. And for me, I feel the young ones are the ones who are going to move forward. We need to support them. We need to, as an artist, I'd like to play in more colleges and schools, and take my message there, rather than try and play in front of a label and try and change the label head's point of view. वो तो बहुत देर हो गई है.
And if there is one artist who you would want to collaborate, let's say you have a big crazy idea on to tell a story on climate, and if there's one artist that you would want to collaborate with, like, you want to pick up the phone and call that person, who would that be?
Definitely Billie Eilish. I love the way that how she was so outspoken and strong, and was not diplomatic in talking about what she felt in the recent times. And I feel that she's an icon, and she connects with the young mainly because of that. I mean, earlier I would have loved to probably collaborate with somebody like Bob Dylan, but I think he's old and jaded and doesn't connect with the young, so won't be as effective. But when it comes to a mission, I would love to work with somebody who is communicating directly with the young, and the young have that artist in their playlist.
And anyone from India?
I mean, in recent times, Diljit and Anuv have had a very deep impact, and they are ruling a lot of playlists for young people. So yes, they would be very good to probably connect with.
Super. I had one more question, but then I won't ask that because the question was one climate song everyone should hear. But I know that you have a gift for all our people who've tuned in. There's a playlist that Ankur has shared, a Spotify playlist on climate and environment songs. So at the end of this, I'm going to share that playlist with you all. So I'll just take three or four questions from the audience. The first
Sure.
one is so it says feelings and context seems to be the core of art and poetry. It's very human. What are your thoughts on using AI as a tool or AI being the voice itself?
AI is firstly, we are still some distance away from ethical AI. AI for me is. Do you want a long answer or a short answer? I don't know.
It's your time.
Okay, so AI, let me speak about AI in a way of, and first let me speak about art, how I see my work. There are two aspects to every piece of work that I make. One is logic, and one is empathy. Now, logic and empathy are both opposing forces. The more logical you are, the less empathetic you get. More empathetic you are, less logical you get. And as a piece of work, it needs to have a good mix of both. Logic in terms of structure, feel, hook lines, rhymes, that all comes under logic. And empathy would be like the metaphors and things, and how wild you can be and how sensitive you can be in dealing with the subject. uh, for me, AI is lacks empathy. It doesn't have empathy at all. It has a lot of logic, uh, and it solves for time. So if you can use AI in a way for all the logical aspects of what you're creating, and drown it, and douse it in some empathy, that you can bring extra empathy and balance that aspect, then I think AI could become a very interesting tool to communicate. uh, but at the same time, we are kind of removed from uh, ethical AI. It's AI is relentlessly stealing from other people's work. So again, the question comes, at the cost of what are you doing at the cost of what? Is it okay to steal and spread a good message? Maybe yes. Is it okay to steal and spread a message and also make money? The answer is no. So I feel, as long as you're not making money off it, and you're purely spreading a message, one must use AI. I feel it is the reality of a life, but for that message to be strong, AI is going to come very strong with logic, then you better come with that much empathy.
Thanks, Ankur. Second last question. Uh, so, how do you channel open conversations and perceptions through your music without compromising on timely messaging and the urgency of call to action?
I have to understand this question a little better
Let me
to,
repeat the question part because
yeah.
the first bit is like a statement. How do you channel open conversations and perceptions through your music without compromising on timely messaging and urgency of call to action? So I think the way I understand it is there is a time and place for a song, and uh, sometimes you may want to address there is a I don't know, there is a deadline, something needs to be done because it's so urgent for the environment, but then the other side is that, I mean, it can be left open. So how do you balance that?
See, so as a songwriter, how I would do is, I would do two things. If I had to write something right now and I have to make something up right now, it would be about, I would be, firstly, I will have an aspect of humor and self-deprecating angle to it. so I don't come across as I'm perfect. And second, if I talk in questions, it helps a lot. It leaves things open, so it's not, so then it becomes a two-way conversation. It doesn't stay as a statement that I'm telling you. So I would use those tools in communicating my message in a way where I would say, uh, like recently I wrote this line called "Zindagi ki chai mein biscuit gira." So it is kind of, it brings a little humorous aspect to a thing, and you smile a little, and the moment you've smiled, I know I have made an entry point. It's kind of maybe flirting with somebody at a bar. So you would just say, like, you have to see how are you approaching a conversation. You cannot be aggressive. You have to have a softer approach, and you have to have a way where you get your point across. Still, you get your point across in a way where you feel I'm listening to what you're saying as well. I'm not just waiting for you to finish your sentence. And also shine a spotlight on my vulnerabilities and my flaws, so I don't come across as perfect. I feel like if I would follow these things to communicate it through a song.
Thanks, Ankur. And the last one, it's a light question, which is, how do you think music or art can change behavior, like using an electric vehicle instead of buying a diesel car, or using public transport through a song or a poem?
I mean, one would have to use it. I don't know the answer. I just write songs. I hope when you're in your electric vehicle, you're playing my album. That's all I can hope for. Maybe you incentivize certain things. With every electric vehicle, you get a bonus song from me that you can only hear it in an electric vehicle. Maybe, I don't know. Incentivize things. Maybe you come up with interesting, fun ideas that don't seem laborious.
Yeah, like someone said, that's raw and honest. And yeah, we can close it on that. So thanks a lot, Ankur. I
It
can't
was a
thank you
pleasure.
enough. Yeah, it was the first conversation, and I couldn't think of anyone else for the kickoff of the Culture Shift webinar series, because you've been someone who's gone out of your way uh, to give your craft and your talent to issues that matter. And
But
I
I don't
hope
think
there
so.
are,
That would not be saying it correctly. I'm not going out of the way. This is the way. Like, oh, that's a line from Mandalorian. But this is the way. Like, I feel we all walking the same path. It's like the Titanic is sinking, and I can't be now doing something else. We know we're all sinking. So I'm just singing
yeah, the reason why
and
I say
making.
that you are going out of the way is because from my side of the fence, the conversations that we normally have from people in the industry or creators, it's not everyone's like you. You are a very generous,
But that's
big-hearted
what I'm trying
person.
to
I
say.
hope,
It's not
yeah,
generosity. I'm just aware that we're all sinking together. They are probably ignoring it. So it's not out of the way. It is normal to engage with people and listen to things. And I won't. I'm very happy with compliments. I love compliments. But I would say that we need to normalize it with artists. Like, we need to be aware that we are in a sinking ship, and we all need to be there and address it.
thank you so much. Thanks a lot. A lot of love and hearts for you in the chat section as well. As I have shared your playlist with everyone, and we've been sharing the Instagram handle on the chat, guys. So please follow that for more work. We'll be doing these webinars. We'll try to do it at least once a month to try and bring one new voice from the arts and popular culture scene, so that it's new for us. We can learn and we can grow our tribe, so that we can try and fight the climate crisis with love. Any
Collective,
last
collective,
words?
collective. Let's build a collective, be irresistible, so that nobody can ignore us.
I'm into that. Thanks a lot, Ankur. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. See you. Thank you
Okay,
so
bye
much.
bye.
And
Yeah,
congratulations on the amazing work you guys are doing, and keep at it. Thank you.
thank you. Thanks, man. Bye bye.
Bye.